Hello, Virgo. Welcome, welcome to my body and heart tarot therapy. I'm here to do the reading for the month of November. Sorry for being so late. Yeah, well, it happens sometimes. Can't be all on time. But I'm sure you can still make use of this reading for what's left of November. So, this is a general reading for Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Rising signs. If it resonates, it resonates, and if it doesn't, then it just doesn't. All right. So use your own intuition to know how to apply the reading. Just checking something. Yep. So we have the Three of Cups as your current energy. Two of Cups as your challenge. So it's your focus here. You got three cards as focus. Knight of Pentacles, King of Cups, and the Ace of Wands. It's a lot of focus. A lot to be focused on. Alright, so what's your advice, Virgo? The Hanged Man. Funny, I saw this just before I started the reading. Alright, the Hanged Man. And what's the direction? What's coming? Nine of Swords. Right, wow. And bottom of the deck we have the Three of Pentacles as your theme of your reading. Very well. Now let's clarify these cards. There's two threes here. So there's some type of growth here. Things coming together to create something bigger, but it's also just the beginning of that growth. Okay, so we have the Four of Pentacles with the Three of Cups. Okay. You have the Ace of Cups with the Two of Cups as your challenge. Now that is interesting. Have the Four of Swords with this pack here as your focus. We're going to get into that. Have the Seven of Swords with the Hanged Man as your advice. I have the King of Swords with the Nine of Swords as your direction. I would call it like future energy, what's coming to your attention towards the end of the month. And we have Seven of Cups with the Three of Pentacles. Yeah, Three of Pentacles as your theme. So the theme of your reading, the underlying energy. All right, Virgo. So let's see what's going on in here. When I say the end of the month, well, that can be. It's not always fixed for this one exact month. You can actually already sort of relate to that energy, or it can come a little bit later. It has to do with also when you're actually seeing this. All right, but here we are. It's Three of Pentacles and the Seven of Cups. I think that this month is you're processing how are you actually going to I don't know, how do you visualize working together with other people? How do you visualize a relationship in a more pragmatic sense? How how do you visualize compromise? How do you visualize learning from other people and from where they're coming from, or being able to incorporate and use the knowledge that people from different walks of lives can bring into your life? And also, how are you going to share something that's different from their background? You see, these three people actually come from different trainings, and they're working together to build something bigger. They build this cathedral. It's about, it can be a project, it can be an actual building, it can be anything really, but it has to do with the manifestation of it. How are you actually working with it on a physical plane? If it's, for example, just like having to do with your friends, well, what are the practicalities? Where do you usually meet? What do you usually talk about? Who starts sharing first? These kind of like practicalities. How does it really manifest? How do you travel more toward your friend's place, or do you meet somewhere in the middle? Just like, yeah, visualizing in a sense, how would you like it to be and how it is. Because the seven of cups talks about taking stock of your emotions here, like how do you feel in all these situations, and also kind of like dreaming big, understanding like how would you like to feel, how would I like to feel in a relationship, because that can help you also understand your boundaries and understand your needs. And I'm not saying like how would you like other people to act or how would you like it to be. No, how I would like to feel. I would like to feel maybe included, or I would like to feel connected, or I would like to feel seen. I would like to feel safe. This type of things you gotta look at. And um and also see if you do feel these things in your work environment, in your friendships, in your family, in your just like mixing up with other people. How do you really feel? And like that, you also understand how to put the boundaries, um how to spend your time. Maybe you realize that out of habit or out of expectation, maybe you're spending a lot of time with people that you don't really feel so close to anymore, but you didn't notice because you never really took the time to feel through. It's something that has got to do with, yeah, understanding kind of, yeah, how are you really feeling, and allow those feelings to guide you. Yeah, I feel like your reading is quite external, related to others, because you have this three of cups as well with the four of pentacles. And three of cups talks about celebration, about getting together with your soul family and really yeah, enjoying life together, enjoying the connection, enjoying that safe space that we were talked about. But this is like really at the emotional level. And threes talk about growth. Yeah, and maybe you start growing your friendship. Yeah, maybe you start having like more friends, you get meeting more people. You also may grow your emotional capacity towards inclusion and celebration. Sometimes we can feel maybe stuck or depressed, or feel the need to, with the Four of Pentacles here, feel the need to protect ourselves, feel the need to really like withdraw a little bit and feel defensive, and maybe sometimes that's needed. We go through phases, we go through cycles, our own inner phases, and then there's the cycles also of the earth and seasons and everything else. So it makes sense that sometimes we need that, but also we can get stuck in there. So in a way, with this three of cups here, I suspect that you starting to grow your emotional capacity, to catch up with the state of your emotions, to catch up with the to show up in your friendships in a different way, to show up in your friendships in a little bit more, maybe less defensive and less makes me think of Capricorn for some reason, that type of like really hard shell, which really comes from an inner fragility. Yeah, well, here we go. Let's see where that's going. I hope that makes sense to you. Your talent. Two of Cups with the Ace of Cups. I think this is what you need in order to actually grow your emotional capacity and being able to connect more authentically with people, the people in your life, both at work and in your like close group of friends or family or whatever. People, you know, those people outside of ourselves that mirror back at us all our vulnerabilities and fear. And yeah, I get it. This Four of Pentacles, you've been here for a particular reason. You really needed this type of like stability, and I think you're coming from a place where you've been rather withdrawn and not spending so much time with others. And when you did, it came from a very protective place, and it is apparently really complicated for you, or difficult for you to really show up, especially on one-to-one with people, and have do that from an open heart, doing that with vulnerability. And that's interesting, like maybe you've been in your hermit mode for a while, and now you feel very sensitive and very vulnerable in a sense, and maybe that's why it's so difficult for you to open up right now. But we need this, we can't get stuck in an island by ourselves. We can't be hermits forever. We were, and you, especially Virgo, you can learn so much from your investigation, from your period that's withdrawn. When you're withdrawn, you can learn so much because you have this methodic thinking and you have this analytical thinking that it really helps you discover so much. And it's a pity to not be able to share that with other people. It's a pity that, I mean, like, yeah, in a sense, it's sometimes it's easier to just be alone and be a loner because we get so triggered around people. And the point is that if you really want to grow, if you really want to heal, if you really want to progress in this like awakening of consciousness in a sense, then we need to allow ourselves to be triggered by people. We need to allow ourselves to connect from a vulnerable place, from a place of where I put myself, I put 100% of me here for display. I'm not start editing myself and showing just what I like about myself and hiding everything else. It's more like, yeah, really being present, really being open, really not fearing rejection all the time, not fearing that you somehow will not be liked or accepted or appreciated. Allow yourself to be seen. If you don't allow people to see you, if you don't allow people to have a taste of this like beautiful heart of yours, how do you ever expect people to understand you? And how do you ever expect people to see how beautiful you are? I know you want to be seen. We all do to a certain degree. Like there's always that interesting dynamics between wanting to be seen and not wanting to be seen. We desperately want to be seen, but then we're terrified when somebody is actually looking at us, we can withdraw. Not everybody, of course, like we all have different coping tools and mechanism, but I feel like now I'm talking to the group of Virgos that find themselves in this yeah, more withdrawn energy, and find it challenging to come into relationships with openness. And here's your focus. Okay, now I understand why the King of Cups is here. Well, first of all, you have the Ace of Wands, which is like that spark of passion, that spark of action-based energy where you really more, I don't know, willing to put yourself out there. You're more passionate about sharing your feelings. Not really sharing your feelings, but you're much more passionate about um yeah, it can be. The King of Cups does not necessarily share his feelings all the time. He can seem sometimes distant. That's just because it doesn't mean that he doesn't feel them. He feels them deeply. He's just not controlled by them, you know. Um and I think that this is your focus right now, allowing yourself to feel and allowing yourself to feel without being controlled. We are coming from this place because we feel not safe, right? And we're not really allowing ourselves to feel. And it seems to be really challenging for you now to really connect to actually deeper parts of yourself and then with other people. But if you keep your focus on that spark of saying curiosity and passion and playfulness along with this emotional maturity and willingness to really feel without feeling deterred by our feelings, you know, but using them, as I said here, like really as a guide. And we learn to also um, play out the long game. Sometimes we feel like we can't be bothered. I don't know, like it feels sometimes that it's too troublesome to even get into this type of intimacy, right? So we're only going to get involved in this, or I'm only going to show anything of myself if this is going to be like a 100% chance that this is going to work out, which you're never going to know. That means that you're slowing yourself down, you're like backing off. The Knight of Pentacles, yeah, well, he's still driven by the expansion. His role is to expand, but he's like pretty slow. Right, and it makes sense on earthly realm. Energy is heavy, everything moves much slower. It takes um time to materialize and manifest. Air energy is very fast, right? Fire energy is very fast. If you look at the Knight of air and the Knight of wands, they're really fast. The Knight of Pentacles is like slowing down, really checking out the ground. Does it make sense? You guys go first, like the mind and the passion. You guys go first, check out the terrain, and if it's okay, maybe I'm coming. Maybe not. You know, that's kind of like this Knight of Pentacles. You won't commit unless there's a 100% chance. And this is your focus, so keep that in mind. Keep that in mind that first of all, you don't have to commit unless you feel comfortable with it. And I emphasize feel. Stay in this King of Cups energy. Be aware of this King of Cups. Be aware of the fact that you don't need to react to everything that you feel. You don't need to have an opinion about everything. You can just feel and allow it to come and allow it to go. And then the Knight of Pentacles, yeah, it's going to move slower, but it's okay. It doesn't need to be the love of my life story in within a week, you know. Real connection and real investment doesn't necessarily need to happen like this in a second. We work on it, we build up, we really build up. This is the other way of like really looking at this, like how to use the energy of the Knight of Pentacles here rather than allow it to deter you. And also with the Four of Swords, like Four of Swords talks about like really calming out the mind and um yeah, don't get your mind involved so much in this process. Stay grounded, stay connected to your emotions, stay connected to your passion and to this awakening that's coming with the Ace of Wands here, where it feels like you get a shot of energy really to be able to deal with this, to be able to give it a try, you know, to get excited about it really. Curiosity, allow curiosity, and if not for nothing else, at least for the sake of investigation. And you like doing that, Virgo, don't you? Or cool. Yeah, that's a good focus. The King of Cups, especially. And then, as advice, take a different look at the way you show up. And I think that was really part of your the when I was interpreting the theme, right? But with the Hangman talks about like really slowing down and yeah, stay still for a little bit and try to look at things from a different perspective than you usually do. How you show up, what do relationship mean to you, what does vulnerability mean to you, what does the integration mean to you, what does collaboration mean, how do you see working relationships, what would be the comfortable boundaries for you, what would be too much, what would be too little, that type of stuff. And if the Seven of Swords can maybe you're noticing some when you're being maybe, I don't know, sneaky behavior, when you're rationalizing certain behaviors because they just feel okay for you, but you know they're not exactly right. um where are you unfair sometimes, and also where you feel other people are unfair to you. But looking at that, changing that perspective, the Hangman talks a lot about opening your heart. You know, it's the number 12. It's after like on your evolution of consciousness. It's in the second part of the journey where we talk more about like higher emotions and connection to spirituality and the divine and connecting to your divine nature really and awareness of that. And the Hangman is the moment where uh mm, this person here becomes awakened because he's waiting here, changing the perspective and just waiting, you know. It's like creating a sacrifice, sacrificing all the things that he would have done if he wasn't hanging from this tree. And you see the halo by his head, he gets enlightened. He becomes aware of his own divine nature, therefore he becomes a god. And that's very Alan Wattsy, and feel free to check him out, Alan Watts, if you don't know about him, but I'm sure everybody knows about Alan Watts by now. But yeah, the point is like being able to when we open our heart, when we really go into that place of connecting to people and to ourselves from an open heart, which seems to be a little bit challenging right now. But you see, following your focus and following your advice, you can open your heart by slowing down. You can open your heart by changing your perspective? What if these beliefs, because it's swords energy and it talks about, it's seven, it's about taking stock. What if some of these beliefs that I'm holding don't really serve me? What about all these thoughts that come into my mind are not necessarily the truth? They're just thoughts that come and go, that I'm used to just hang on to because they're familiar. What if I don't know, look from a different perspective than how you come outside? What if actually this person wasn't mean to me? I'm just being over defensive. Or what if I tried to say something nicely, but it came out too strong? But with heart opening, what I'm trying to say here, and sorry if I'm digressing, is that that's the change of perspective. We understand that we are all really afraid, and we are all suffering, and we are all hurting, and we all have our needs, and we don't really know how to respond to them. That's where big part of our suffering is coming. We all have the need to be seen, the need to be loved, the need to feel included, to feel connected, to feel we're social animals, you know. The need for intimacy, the need for safety. But we don't really know how to provide for these needs most of the time, because society doesn't really teach us that. Society just teaches us to work, make money, and get physical security, and get married and reproduce, and that's about it. Like, and maybe instill some values through culture and religion or whatever. But with the hangman here is a change to like start seeing through your own conditioning and through other people's conditioning as a defense mechanism, and not something that becomes the enemy. And when we we will look at the seven of swords from that place of compassion, understanding that it was pain that brought up this behavior in the first place, that um, whatever we can perceive as sneaky or strategizing too much or overprotectiveness or this type of stuff, whether within ourselves or outside of ourselves, it comes from pain. And if I don't get like too stuck in that, into the behavior in itself, and go more like one layer deeper, I get to usually discover a scared and lonely inner child, whether my own or somebody else's, and I can connect to that from a place of love and compassion. But that does not mean to condone bad behavior or to enable or feed into my own tendencies to rationalize and hide and do something not so honorable, whatever that is, you know. I can see it's there and I can look at it with compassion. That's it. That's what's the lesson of the hangman here. And then as future energy, you have the Nine of Swords with the King of Swords. And I like that they come together, because the Nine of Swords talks about fear. It's like that deep, dark fear of the future, of anxiety of what's going to happen, what's going to come, how am I going to perform, will I be able to do it, will I be able to not do it, will I be able to connect with people, would I be able to meet myself where I am, would I be able to continue on with this project, what if the people won't like my idea? What if we do it, but we, I don't know, get slowed down by this, and this? Or what if we lose the money? What if all that kind of like what ifs that terrify you and keep you up at night? But he comes the King of Swords with mastery of the sword suit. So the King of Swords does not lose any sleep over what ifs, you know. He's present, he's in the now. He's also being able to see the big picture. The big picture is not getting stuck into, when we get stuck in thoughts like this and in fears, then we literally surround ourselves with walls. We can't see anymore. We get into a loop, in a trance. Well, King of Swords doesn't lose any sleep over that. He sees the whole picture. He's very aware. He's very connected to um his mind, but he's mastering his mind. He's not like his mind isn't using him. He's not the victim of his mind. He's incredibly empowered by using his mind for himself, for his own use. It doesn't mean that he never has like, erratic thoughts or crazy things like that or fears. It's just that he does not give in to that. He's not being ruled by them. They come and they go, and that's how he keeps mental clarity, by not giving uh, credit, or not really listening to each and every thought that comes through his mind. So he's crystal clear, he's crisp, he's able to, also he won't be in this fear because he makes the strategy most of the time. He's really good by being able to see the big picture. He knows to plan for himself, and he knows how to communicate. It's very articulated. So there's nothing really to fear. He's feeling safe within himself. That's where you're going, my dear. Okay, let me pull a oracle card for you from the Rumi Oracle. Let's see, what's the wisdom of the heart here? What's the message for my dear Virgo? Sorry about that. Okay. Let love transform. Well, there you go. That's what we were talking about, weren't we? Let love transform. I like it. Let me see. Is number 14, which means a 5, which means uncomfortable growth. All right. So I hope you can see. Let love transform. The spring of love arrives to transform the dust into a garden. The call is heard from the heavens to beat the wings of soul to fly. The sea becomes filled with pearls. The dry land receives the water of life. The stone becomes a ruby, and the body becomes all soul. Right, that's beautiful. Now let's read through. So this oracle comes to you as a living spiritual gift. Whether you realize it or not, you have triumphed, you have blossomed, succeeded, cast aside that which was unworthy, and taken up love's way. How much delight there is from all those that walk this way of love, of life, to find another precious companion in their midst. You are welcome into this world. This world where love finds a way. There is nothing impossible for love. It is not bound by the mind. Because of this, all manner of miraculous grace works through it in endless creative variety. The great beloved is a show of creating with such genius as to be breathtaking. Were we able to remain always in the heart, we would be constantly breathless in a fit of appreciation and awe so great, truly there would not be even a slither of emptiness through which fear could enter. Let's break that down a little bit, because I think it makes sense. Especially makes sense with the cards here. So you are welcomed into this world. You are encouraged to grow. You are encouraged to show yourself who you are, right? There is nothing impossible for love. And it is not bound by the mind. So allow your mind to slow down. Um, it is not bound by the mind. Do not let your mind just do its shit that does forever and ever and ever. Just observe and welcome. We get bounded by the mind where we give it too much credit, where we believe everything, where we pay so much attention to it. It's okay to see what it does and observe, but don't get into that trip all the time. Um, so were we able to remain always in the heart, we would constantly be breathless, and there would be not even a slit of emptiness through which the fear could enter. That's important here, because that talks about fear so much, right? And I think the King of Swords understands this. He's not known for his empathy and his heart felt connection. He tends to be a little bit more cold and a really good communicator, but maybe not rationalizing, but intellectualizing pretty much everything. Therefore, doesn't feel that humane in a sense. It's like talking to a scientist about emotions, but not really feeling much. But actually, he does understand this. He has the clarity of mind. He understands the power of the heart. He understands that he got to this place where he could calm the mind because he was able to open his heart. You never reach mastery unless you go through the queens, and queens are talking about the heart. Queens are the nurturers, and that's where the heart really, really opens, and the King of Swords and Crowns out there to provide for the need of for the necessity, and being protecting and putting energy out into the world that comes from the heart, commanding, you know. What does this mean? It says, it means an avenue of divine fulfillment has been found. You are being given the power for spiritual success. Well, there it is with the Ace of Wands here, that awakening. Your heart's yearning shall manifest itself, but you must comply according to the way of love, to the law of love. Exactly. You can't just use this for whatever is going to manifest in your life. Don't use it as a benefit. Don't try to strategize with it. You need to follow the. What does it mean? You must comply according to the law of love. What does that mean exactly? Do not attach yourself to the form that your resolution and success shall take. Why would we seek to limit love created genius thus? No, instead trust that it will be magnificent, perfection, literally the work of genius. Detach yourself from expectations of timing. The harvest will be at the best time when the ripeness is just right. So utterly juicy and sweet. You shall know with certainty that this is the best way. Absolute trust is the best way to adhere to the law of love. This gives you rather some energy to spare, perhaps that might have otherwise been engaged in perpetuating worry and doubt. That's about it, baby. I hope it makes sense to you. Virgo, if you do connect or relate to this reading, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for being here. And yeah, enjoy your November.